Imelda. He's telling me a story, all doom and gloom. He said, do not murder little child inside your womb. Well, I said, Papa, Papa, what about my rights? The rights of a woman to have her own life, to make her own decisions, to do anything she wants. So hands off our bodies, we don't need it. Aye, 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 aye. We don't need it. Aye, 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 aye.
Blah, 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 blah. Time to blah, blah, blah about the 8th Amendment. There has been a huge anti-choice presence in Waterford, and more recently, in the past couple of months, there's been a huge rise of pro-choice events. There's been Parents for Choice having coffee mornings. There was rise in Repeal Waterford, and I'm part of Pro-choice Waterford. Pro-choice Waterford was set up in response to, there was a case 2 years ago of a young girl who requested an abortion. She was denied and she was put in a psychiatric ward.
You're a man, aren't you? A woman's way is not the same.
Good afternoon, everybody. Speaking of I.M.E.L.D.A are here today on our nationwide tour of Ireland for our project Speaking with I.M.E.L.D.A. We have to face the reality of what is going on in the country, and we can no longer export our issues, especially our healthcare for our women, to the UK. It's unacceptable. 2018 has to stop. I've been campaigning on this issue on and off since 1983. We campaigned against the amendment because we didn't believe, and we still don't, that a pregnancy has equal rights to a woman. I also think this is a class issue, because wealthier women can afford to go to England, whereas working class women on low wages and maybe with no money have to beg, borrow and steal to get to England. Well, beg and borrow mostly, but it's really important that we give women a choice in their own country. This should not be in any constitution. They should be treated with dignity here through the medical profession.
Going through pregnancy in the Irish maternity system, I became more pro-choice. That's because the 8th Amendment actually affected me in my pregnancy. The HSE consent policy explicitly states that once you are pregnant in this country, you have no right to bodily autonomy. You have no right to informed consent. So that's something that people need to realise, that even if you want your children, even if you've no intention of ever having an abortion, the 8th Amendment affects you.
I've had 2 pregnancies that haven't ended particularly well, but in one in particular I was pregnant at it was about 9 weeks. There was a faint heartbeat, so this is something that I had to carry with me for 3 weeks, not knowing whether I was going to have a baby or whether this is something I needed to plan to grieve for. I was being sent home 1 week saying, look, there is a heartbeat there, go off and come back to us, and then coming back into them when they knew all along that there was no viable pregnancy. At the start of the 3rd week, I asked my consultant, look, this is something you need to tell me. Am I to start grieving or do I prepare for a baby? And I was told, it's like this, we don't want another court case on our hands. And basically it was because if they had gone ahead and given me a D&C while there was still a faint heartbeat, there would have been trouble. All that pain could have been ended if they had just given me the D&C at the very beginning. They knew that it was going nowhere. And if they, the ones who actually knew medically that this was going to happen, they should have ended that pain for me. I was getting my hopes up, then my hopes were dashed, up, down. And as somebody who does suffer from mental health issues as well, this was extremely damaging.
53 to 64% of people who have abortions already have children. So if you look at a standard scenario of a mother who has 2 kids already and she's pregnant with her 3rd, for whatever reason it is that is personal to her, she cannot have that 3rd child, whether it be financial, mental health, whatever it could possibly be. So if she decides to go ahead with this pregnancy, 2 full 9 months to term, and she decides to give that baby up for adoption. A lot of people don't know that by law in Ireland, legally, she is saying that she is not fit to look after the other children that she already has, and they have to be put up for adoption as well. A lot of people don't know that, and anytime that we're in town and we talk to people about that, they're baffled by it, and I'm so shocked that this is information that is not known by people. I think it's horrific, really, because we're not talking about the girl who is the hussy who was out sleeping around in town. The statistics are there. It's factual information. These people already have children, and I know loads of women who have had abortions that their family and friends still don't know. They still have no idea because they are so shrouded in this controversial haze that they cannot seem to pull themselves out of. And we are forcing a mental health issue on top of so many people based on this. Get the idea out of your head that it's this girl sleeping with half the town, because that's not the reality of it. I would ask anybody who is on the fence, think about the people that are in your life. Think about all of your family, anyone who can get pregnant in your family. Don't you want them to have bodily autonomy? Don't you trust them with a choice over to be able to look after themselves? Parents when you want to be a parent, not because you're forced to be a parent.
We haven't seemed to move on in all these years. We're just back where we were so many years ago, and I'm shocked and appalled that women have to face the same issues that they did back then. It's not working. It's not what we thought when people voted years ago.
I have spoken out before about when I was 17 years of age that I travelled to the United Kingdom to terminate a pregnancy. Making that decision is not easy anyway. You're not home, and then having to come home to Ireland, and I didn't have any mention of my abortion on any of my medical records here in Ireland. I now have a 1-year-old daughter. All my life I was slightly worried that perhaps there was some damage done to me. I was going in for a medical checkup for my pregnancy with my husband, and when you have your first meeting in the hospital, they ask you for your complete medical history just to double check, you know. And I remember the doctor sitting there with me, and she was a young girl, and she was asking everything. Have you got diabetes, high blood pressure? Have you ever broken a bone? Have you ever hit your head? She kept pressing it, and she kept going, no, is there anything else? This is all relevant. Everything is relevant. And I was holding back, and I was going, it was, you know, the back of my head was going, you have to tell her. You have to tell her this is important. This is not about you anymore. This is about, you know, this is about your little baby. And this is about both of your well-being. So eventually I did say, I remember looking at my husband and looking back to her and saying, actually there is, I had a termination a long time ago. And you could have cut the atmosphere with a knife. Very quickly, the interview was over. And she sort of, okay, that's fine, yeah, okay. So you take your phone, go to the nurse, and she'll give you a call for your next checkup, and that was that. And we were shooed out of the room very quickly. And I remember standing outside, and I was like, hang on. And then I thought it over my head, and I went, well, do you know what? She never asked me when this termination took place. Were there any complications? How old was I? How was it done? She didn't know if I had done it with a coat hanger. She didn't know if I had gone to another country to have an operation. She didn't know if I'd done it with a pill. She never asked. And it was never written down. And I kind of left the hospital going, she's a medical professional. She's a doctor. If I had gone into that hospital and said, I have a terrible drug problem and I'm pregnant, even if she didn't agree with people taking drugs and being pregnant, she would have at least written something down.
Right-wing Catholics are particularly nasty in campaigning. They lie, they're damnedest to put down women. The most misogynistic people I think I've ever seen on this earth in their attitude to women. And will do anything to, and I think it's going to be even worse in this campaign, for the simple reason is this is their last stand. The young people now, you see some of the changes that have happened in Ireland with the gay rights and that type of stuff, that has really come from young people. And I used to think, you know, that talking with some of my friends, we're pretty strong trade unionists, but our job has gone and passed on, our factory has gone, and
you were a glassblower?
Glassblower all my life, yeah. As that fades away, you're saying we should have left something for, you know, brought on young people. But I'm beginning to realise that that's not the case. I think that every generation comes along has to fight their own battle. You know, that, but it's how you fight before them that can help pave the road for it, you know. And I think that today's generation, while they might not realise it, but I think they're more forceful and more powerful than we ever were, because they're better educated, they're stronger, and they have a lot more to gain. in terms of their own world than we had, you know. So I have great faith in them, and I think they will do a great job around this referendum.
This is the opportunity now to make things right after all the mistakes that we've made. It's in the country's interest that we move forward and treat everyone as equal.
If we're going to export the problem, we are not being grown up and we're not having the adult conversation that we need to have about this. And it's an issue that we need to deal with. That was flagged in 1983, and people in 1983 said that this would happen, and they were right. We need bodily autonomy, and I think the women of Ireland are standing up now and saying, no more, we're not going to be browbeaten, and we're not going to be controlled, particularly by a church that doesn't welcome us and doesn't appreciate us. So I think our time has come, and I think we're going to do really well.
Goodbye, Waterford. Next stop is Park.